I'm Jayashree Kurup, I'm editor Magicbricks, and I have with me Prabhakar Sinha, real estate editor of the Times of India. We're talking about subvention schemes. Has your builder stopped paying the EMI that he was supposed to pay? Let's get back to the basics. Prabhakar, what is the subvention scheme for those who don't know about it?
Now, as the developers are not able to sell their flats nowadays, easily.
Maybe in the last 2 years?
Last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So what they have offered to the buyers that during the period the house is under construction and the buyers are not getting their flats, till then the loan amount which the EMI on the loan that the buyer takes to pay the developer against the cost of the flat, EMI for that developers will pay for the buyers. Now suppose like I bought a flat for 1 crore rupees, I took a loan of 1 crore rupees and my EMI is say 90,000 rupees per month. So developer says that you buy the house, pay me 1 crore rupees from the EMI, from the taking loan from the bank, and I will pay you 90,000 rupees per month EMI will be paid by the developer to the bank.
Sure. But the loan is taken in your name.
Loan is taken in my name.
It's a retail loan.
It's a retail loan. And then for 2 to 3 years, normally the subvention scheme is for 2.5 to 3 years, with an assumption that the house will be completed within that time period, and then the house will be delivered to the buyer and buyer will start paying the EMI. Mind it, in this EMI, developer normally pay only the interest portion, and the rest of the principal amount will come for the repayment only after house is given to you or the house is delivered to the buyer.
Anyway, in the beginning, the EMIs are more interest and hardly anything else.
Hardly any, yeah, very small amount as the principal goes in. So this is the normal scheme under which this entire works. Now, what developers gain out of this normally, that now suppose a developer takes that 1 crore rupees loan from a bank, then he will pay an interest rate of say somewhere around 12%, 13%, 14%. If you borrow it from the market, then the interest rate might go up even higher, 16, 17, 18%. But if suppose a home buyer takes the loan, the rate of interest in that case is 9%, 9.5%. So at least the margin is 3 to 4% on the rate of interest, which developer saves, first of all. Number
which is why he's paying the EMI.
EMI, he's ready to pay the EMI. Number two, his house also, inventory is also get reduced, inventory is sold, getting sold. Buyer for that at the same time, he is not have to pay right now, in this scheme, his rents also, plus the EMI on the new house that he has bought also.
So he saves the EMI till possession, he pays the rent as long as it takes to get the house, possession of the house, and he moves straight into his own house and starts paying his EMI.
But one thing more one must see, that now suppose if one buys a house on cash down basis, he says that no, I don't want subvention scheme, I will pay you entire amount upfront. In that situation, the price difference is also there. The price difference is substantial.
How much rebate do consumers get?
At least if you will not take the subvention scheme, then the rebate is somewhere around 15%.
About 15%. So if you pay from your own resources and you pay the cash down, you get a 15% rebate. If you allow the developer to take a loan on your behalf, the developer is paying your EMI till possession, which is normally about 2.5 to 3 years. Now the problem has come in the market because the projects are delayed.
Yeah, projects are delayed, and otherwise also, because of some problem or the other, developers find themselves in a cash crunch and they refuse or they are not able to pay that EMI to the banks. Now the issue is this, that the loan has been taken by the buyer or the buyer of the flat, so the individual. Now if developer is not paying EMI to the bank, default will be
the consumer.
For the consumer. The
consumer and your credit rating.
Not only credit rating, banker will come to you. That boss, you either start paying it or whatever house you have bought, I will cancel that and I will take possession of that house and I will sell it in the market.
So it's a serious offence here. We're talking about a very serious offence. You've bought a house. You've allowed the developer to agree to the terms that you will pay 20% or 10% in the beginning. the developer takes the loan on your behalf, the developer pays the EMI on your behalf, still possession, but now the developer suddenly says there's not enough liquidity in the market and I can't pay. And it's not the developer who's liable, it's you. When the loan was taken in your name, what happens is that the bankers are they are not going to let their EMI go.
They can't wait forever.
They can't wait at all.
At all, yeah.
So
for
what
at
happens?
least 2 to 3 installment they will wait. Okay, 3 installment if you have defaulted, they came heavily on you. They'll say that either you come or they will move to the court and they will get the house attached.
Yes.
That's
And
how
if the
it
house
is.
is attached, because there's the insolvency law, if the house is attached, that means you lose not only and there's no guarantee that they'll sell at highest price. They're going to recover as much as they have put in, forget the amount that you have put in.
Exactly.
So therefore you have to take recourse to some kind of solution. And here is where our discussion begins. Prabhakar, whom should he go to? A RERA court?
Yeah, exactly. Right now, at least earlier there was a huge problem in this kind of a situation.
Yeah.
Because if you move to the civil court, then it's very time consuming. And you will not get any justice because the justice delayed in this case is justice denied, because by the time you get the justice, either your house got sold out or
your requirement is gone or
so many things can happen.
Yeah.
But right now, you can go to the RERA. Now, I was talking to the RERA chief in UP and Haryana both. Now, both of them were telling me, Barinder Kumar in UP and KK Khandelwal in Haryana RERA, that now in such cases, now because developer is not standing by their contract or they are failing in fulfilling the contractual obligation.
That's in the builder-buyer agreement.
Builders buyer agreement. In that situation, that entire contract can be declared null and void, and developer can be asked to refund the money with interest. And so that now the interest will be again 10.5%, or SBI and CLR rate plus 2 percentage points. So whatever the interest rate you are going to give to the bank, with the same interest, he is going to refund you money. That money you can give to the bank and you can get out of the problem. So this is right now under RERA there is a solution for this, and this solution really works because authority comes very heavily on them, on the developers, and developers cannot avoid
The RERA authority.
RERA authority.
Okay. Now let's pick up a couple of questions that have started coming, and we'll continue the discussion. If any of you have any problems where the developer has offered you a subvention scheme, you've bought under the subvention scheme and your developer has stopped paying your interest and you are forced to do it yourself, please join the conversation. Please keep sending your queries. We are here for the next 45 minutes answering your queries. There is Pramod Kumar of Patna who says, I have been trying to buy an apartment in the National Capital Region for some time now. Just a minute. Recently, while scanning ads placed by developers in newspapers, I came across offers of subvention schemes and deferred payment plans. I want to know if these are advantageous as these ads make them out to be. Are they?
They're advantageous. Again, I'm telling you that you do the analysis yourself. That now you ask the developer that if suppose you are not asking for the subvention, what is the price is going to quote it. Now, if you see in the 3 years time period, he is paying you the interest for the 3 years. Now, that interest amount you are saving if you are taking if you borrow directly from the banks and you are paying them. Now, the issue is this, that if he reduces the price, which basically takes care of part of your disadvantage, then certainly you can go for that. But you do yourself, you can analyze it very well. Number one. Number two, you see the developer also, that whether that developer is going to complete the project, and besides, if not going to, whether he is going to pay you that subvention scheme regularly or not. Like if he says that he will pay the EMI to the bank, then make it sure that he will pay that EMI to the bank. In many cases, the developers do promise, but when it comes to pay, they will pay you for first 6 months, but after that they will start defaulting. Now because the financial condition is not good, and that you can check by finding out that how they are selling. Now if the sale is happening with a brisk pace, that means the developer can meet your requirement also. They can pay you also. But if you will find that no, developer is not able to sell their project and they are just using it one-off kind of a scheme that just to push their sale, then you should not enter into with that kind of a developer. You rest assured that he is going to default and he will not pay you also. So you'll have to make a judgment in this kind of a situation. It's very difficult to say like how you should.
There's
go
no
about
one
it.
size fits all.
No.
If the developer you think has resources enough to pay the EMIs and continue the construction, please go ahead and take this EMI, take the subvention scheme. But if you feel that the developer does not seem to be building, does not seem to have sales, that means that that developer is already stressed and he'll take your money all right, but whether he will pay your EMI is a different issue.
Now, two things, let me explain it here. What exactly and how the subvention scheme came. Exactly what had happened that earlier or even today, a flat under construction is selling at a certain price, say X. Then it is thought that once it is completed, it will appreciate by at least say 0.25%, 1.25 times or something like that. So many people used to get into this kind of a contract thinking that, okay fine, let me take the loan, developer is going to pay the EMI, and when it will come with the completion and I will get the delivery, at that time I will sell the project. Say at if 1 crore rupee project is there, then 1.25 crore, and then I will make that 25 lakh rupees profit.
Yeah.
So basically thinking that many people have entered or they are entering into this kind of a scheme. Of late what has happened that the prices are not appreciating.
Right.
Even
And it's not expected to appreciate either. When there's more and more stock in the market, even today we have brisk sales.
Yeah.
Today we have good demand from end users who intend to buy and stay. But and today we have developers completing their projects as well.
Yeah.
But as there's more stock in the market, till the stock gets absorbed, it's the principles of economics. When there's more stock in the market, the prices do
So
not
you have
go
to
up.
wait.
You have to wait. You must have the holding
So now
power.
if you have to wait for even 2-3 years, that means at least you'll have to pay EMI for the next 3 years. So you should be ready to service that EMI. Okay. Now if you don't have that capacity to service the EMI, and if you are investing in such a scheme thinking that okay, when it will be completed I will sell and exit, you might not be able to do that in profit. And at that time, if you are not taking the profit, then your entire this exercise goes futile and you will feel very frustrated, and sometimes you may have to cut loss also.
Yes.
So the market is not very ready for that kind of a situation where people used to invest just to make money with this kind of a scheme also.
That was
So
always in the up cycle.
Yeah.
Real estate is a very cyclical business, and there is a 5 to 6 years up cycle and a 5 to 6 year down cycle. What happens is that in the up cycle, people start taking risks and many make money also out of it. But the ones who come at the tail end of the up cycle move into the down cycle, and that's when those are the ones who are stuck with properties that are either delayed or are not appreciating. And because you've put in the money, you want a profit, which means that if you want a profit, you'll have to weather the down cycle.
Exactly.
And that's when investors go wrong. Remember, investment is always a tricky business. You have to hit the market at the right time. And if you haven't hit the market at the right time, please do not exit when the market is tanking, because that's the best way to lose money,
Yeah.
right? And real estate is an appreciating asset. But the appreciation happens according to market cycles. It's not a liquid asset. You have to wait for that asset to start appreciating and then exit for your profits. If you feel that you don't have the staying power, what happens is that you will have to exit at that point of time. Then this entire subvention rigmarole did not benefit you at all.
benefit at all. So that is the whole issue. That you must be ready that okay fine, if the AMI of 90,000 or 1 lakh of rupees per month comes in, still I'll manage to pay it for at least 2 years or 3 years or 4 years time down the line. And then you may get some opportunity to sell it in the profit and you can exit in profit. Or otherwise you may trap and you may have to sell it in loss also.
Absolutely. Let's go on to our next query. Sriram Reddy of Chennai says he booked a house with a leading developer in Chennai, bought the flat for 20 lakh. I signed the application cum terms and conditions form without reading the text. Now that is the first mistake that he has made. I also did not take a copy of the papers from the company. The project got delayed and the builder stopped paying the EMIs after 1 year. I was in a financial crisis and decided to cancel the flat, but the agreement said I cannot get the booking amount back if I cancel. What should I do? You will have to forfeit because every RERA regulator that we've spoken to says that whatever the terms that the developer has agreed upon, that you have agreed with the developer, has to be there in black and white on the builder-buyer agreement for RERA authorities to be able to push and implement them. If it is not in the builder-buyer agreement, it was all hollow words and will not hold in any court of law.
Exactly.
And other than your word, the RERA authority has nobody else's word, and that need not be the case. So,
I believe in such case, you can also try to sell that paper in the market. I mean, that you're buying right, that you have bought the flat. Even after 1 year, 2 years, whatever time period have elapsed, you can sell it in the market. That okay, boss, and you can transfer that property, and you can approach the developer to transfer the property on the new buyer's name. And I believe that developers do cooperate to an extent that they don't charge for the transfer of the property to the new buyer's name, at least in this kind of a cases. Or otherwise, if the developer wishes that he should forfeit your the amount, booking amount, I mean, he is very much within the right to do that.
because he has not put it in the builder-buyer agreement. He's put it in the builder-buyer agreement that you will forfeit the amount.
Exactly.
This is why it's so important. Buying a house is a very tricky business. You don't just go and buy like you buy potatoes in the market. You have to read the fine print. You have to. We have been consistently saying on this show, please do a legal due diligence.
No, Jayashree, look, another point also there. When the buyer is selling a project, now he must have sold that project through broker.
Yes.
The builder also would have paid to the broker.
Yes.
Now the 2% amount of the project, the cost of the flat would have gone as a broking charge.
Yeah.
Similarly, so many other charges, so many other costs he has already bought. So even if suppose he is asking them, to, okay, refund my entire money, now the 2%, I mean the various costs which has already gone into that itself is a very high.
Yes.
And the GST and all those things you would have already deposited also, or other taxes have deposited also. So it's not simple that whatever amount you have paid, you are supposed to get, or you should get it back. I mean, that is not the, because the market function in a different fashion. So imagine that entire amount, whatever amount you have paid, that has not gone to the developer only. The amount has already gone to the other people also who are involved in that entire marketing process. So builder, that is why, and at the same time he has lost that opportunity. Suppose he can claim it that was that flat the other guys were ready to buy at that time, because now you bought it and now you are saying that you want to return it. I lost that opportunity to sell it to the other guy. So he may, and he will charge.
This is very much like a cancellation fee at the airlines, right?
Yeah, airlines. So for anything for that.
For anything.
For anything for that.
And therefore be very careful with real estate purchases. These are not impulse buys. These are well thought out decisions, and it's a very large sum of your own money that you are putting in. Whether you put your own nest egg or whether you take it from a bank, borrow from a bank and put it, it's a very large sum of money. And please understand that you have to read it if it is beyond you. There are many people who can't understand
no, but
it.
Here in
Do a
this
legal
case,
due diligence.
But here he is saying that the project got delayed.
Yes.
Now if the project got delayed and he stopped paying also, you can approach the RERA also in that kind of a situation, because the developer is also violating that contract. So you can approach the RERA and you can ask him that, boss, please ask him to refund my money. If the developer is at fault, then you can force him to refund your money. But for that sake, you will have to go to RERA and you'll have to prove that the developer is at fault. And particularly if he has entered into an agreement that he will pay the EMI to, for you, then you can claim that. And he has
But
refunded.
he's also said that he's decided to cancel the flat. If you've already cancelled,
Yeah.
then you can't do anything. But if you haven't cancelled, what Prabhakar is saying is go to the RERA authority.
Yeah.
The developer has violated parts of the contract. Go and try and get that enforced so that this...
Don't cancel that. You ask the developer, give us the contract itself is now null and void, so please refund my money, I want to exit.
Okay.
Because you are not fulfilling the contractual
Sure,
obligation.
sure.
So you can do that.
There's Mihir Kumar of Chandigarh who says, are subvention schemes and deferred payment plans the same thing? Both plans have different offerings and I got confused which is safe in terms of investment. Kindly suggest.
Deferred payment.
Deferred payment is better, but there also the risk is that the developer might stop paying the EMIs. Not in today's world.
No.
Right?
Deferred payment, they are saying that okay, you just book certain amount, and then rest of the amount you pay later.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you pay 10% amount right now, and then you say that I will not pay you any amount now. I will pay the rest of the amount at certain milestone or at delivery time. So
where the developer does not take money from the bank on your behalf.
Yeah.
Okay. A subvention scheme is where you're taking money from the bank on, the developer's taking money from the bank on your behalf. A deferred payment is where you pay the initial amount and after that you just wait till the project is complete and then start making your payments.
Yeah. World over normally, I heard that world over, like in Europe, the 50% of the cost of a flat is paid at the time of delivery.
Okay.
In US, this portion is even higher.
Okay.
In Dubai also, it is 50 to 70%. The amount is paid at the time of delivery.
So it is all deferred payment.
Deferred payment.
Its subvention was only in India where the banks agreed with the developers to lend and take the EMIs from the developer.
It is mainly because in India, it is India only where the retail borrowers can borrow at a very cheap cost, whereas the developer can borrow at a very high cost. Because of this interest differential, this new mechanism has been developed.
But of course, like he said, if there's no risk of a bank coming in between and an EMI coming in between, a deferred payment is an easier thing, a safer prospect.
But at the deferred payment, the cost will be a bit higher.
Yeah.
So you'll have to bear that. But I believe in this market that is advisable.
There's Nitin Singh of Bangalore who says, I was recently approached by a few brokers who told me that they can offer me a scheme where I need to book a flat and borrow a loan in my name for a developer. The developer would give me a flat for years and after that, once he pays off the loan, I had to give the property back. In this scheme, I was offered 5% of the loan amount as soon as the builder gets the loan in my name. Please advise. This is a scheme that is also working in the NCR market and a lot of developers are offering this. A lot of brokers are offering this because this becomes a means of selling that excess stock that is there in the market.
Developer is asking you to, I'll give you this 50 lakh rupees flat in your name, I'll transfer the flat also in your name, but please borrow 70 lakh or 80 lakh rupees from the bank because your eligibility is up to 70 lakh of rupees.
Yes.
So please borrow at that money and give the money to me and I will return the money, then you return my flat.
Right.
So certainly if the developer defaults, then what will happen? You can keep the flat, but you will have to pay the 70 lakh of rupees.
Right.
So that means your flat cost comes out to be 70 lakh of rupees.
Right.
So don't do it.
You're right.
Now, if the flat is say 50 lakh rupees and the developer is asking you to borrow only 40 lakh of rupees, you can still think of doing it. But mind it.
Is it a sensible thing to do? Is it advisable? What is the downside of it?
Downside of it that you can be a forced buyer.
Yes.
Ultimately.
You did not buy because you needed that flat. You bought it as an investor.
And you finally the flat came on you and you'll have to accept it.
And remember that at that point of time, the market may not be very conducive to selling. Which means that you will have an asset which you will have to hold on to. The rental values also at that point of time, nobody can predict that you will get really good rental values. Therefore, rental returns.
Yeah.
So therefore,
so basically, you must buy. You must give him the value of the money, the borrowed money at a discounted amount.
Yeah.
So if the flat worth is 60 lakh rupees, you borrow only 50 lakh of rupees or 40 lakh of rupees and give him 40 lakh of rupees and ask him to, okay, you repay 40 lakh of rupees and I will give you the flat back. I don't think that the developer will come to you.
and remember, all he's giving you is 5% of the loan amount. So you've taken 40 lakh, he gives you 5% back, and then he keeps the loan. And when the house is ready, and if he pays back the money, you get you return the house. If he doesn't pay back money, you keep the house.
Yeah.
If the house is really worth it, and you think that that area has so much future prospect, that's not a bad deal.
Yeah, then not a bad deal.
There's Lata Singh of Pune who says, what types of subvention schemes available in the market these days? Can you please check what documents one must check before choosing such schemes? That's a sensible query to ask.
Basically, whatever the developer is offering you, that must be written in the contract. And basically, in that case, what we normally suggest that it should be mentioned that the developer will pay the EMI till the possession is given.
Yes.
Not for 2 years or 3 years.
Right.
Don't go by that. You say that, or till the CC is taken. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, once the CC is taken, that means you are going to get the EMI, this flat, and so he will stop paying the EMI. But don't go for the period,
Yeah.
number of periods.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, many cases I have seen that developer gives the post-dated checks also.
Yeah.
They say that, okay, this is the interest amount
Yeah.
to the bank I have to pay, or the EMI. So this is the post-dated check. You deposit yourself to the bank. That is still safer side.
Okay.
Because defaulting against the check is a crime, is a non-bailable offence,
Yeah.
and it comes under section 138B, and he can be jailed also.
Yeah.
So either you can go for that, but simply going by his words, I believe is not very advisable.
Sure.
And you better ask him that, okay, he should give you upfront discount of that much amount, and then you take that discount and you buy a flat. That will be better rather than going for the this kind of a subvention scheme. But as I told you just, normally people go for this scheme. They are normally investors, and they always think that as soon as the flat will be completed, it will get appreciation, and I will sell and exit. So that is the whole motto.
However, if you are an end user and you are only taking that because you can't afford the rental outflow as well as the EMI outflow, for them it is useful, Prabhakar.
That is useful.
In fact, a lot of end users entered the market on subvention schemes because they felt that at least during the period when they are paying a rent, they don't have to pay
Yeah, it
EMI.
works also, and it works also.
It works.
Because they think that, okay, in 3 years' time, the area in which his flat is coming up, that will become livable, and so
Sure.
the connectivity will improve.
Sure.
And right now where he is living, suppose the rental is very high, and after that the flat in which he is going to live, for that EMI is almost equal to the rent he is
Yes.
paying, but he is compromising on the distance side, but because of the good connectivity, that can be afforded.
Yeah.
So I am thinking all this kind of scheme works.
It works for an end user.
Indeed.
It works for a smart investor who has read the fine print.
Yeah.
And now, like Lata said, what are the things that you should keep in mind when you go for a subvention scheme? First of all, check out the credibility of the developer. Developers may go through good cycles and bad, but in every market there are a set of developers who are credible, who have a track record of delivery, of good quality delivery, and of who maintain their assets even after they have handed over. Check the quality of the developer. If it is a completely unknown name from a different sector, my antennae would go up that would this person be able to complete in the time period that he's given, unless he's taken the best contractors, like if he's taken an L&T or a Shapurji Palanji or something like that, then you know that he has the wherewithal to complete it. The second thing that you should look at is that, like Prabhakar said, don't look for a time period, look for a retail possession, so that the possession has to be
Benchmark.
Sorry?
It should be benchmarked
It should be benchmarked at the possession.
Yeah.
The third thing that you should look at is get the papers read by a lawyer. It is always good to do a legal due diligence on your own instead of just trusting everything that a developer says. There may be clauses that are not suitable to you, and the lawyer would be able to point these out. Sometimes, if you have a very good broker, the broker also points this out to you, and that is in fact the broker's role. As an advisory role, the broker should be telling you all this. However, if the broker is not doing the due diligence, then you should do it on your own. The final thing is that please be sure that you are ready to take possession of that asset in case the market is not right when the project is completed. Because market cycles change, asset values change according to market cycles, therefore you should be very clear about that. And I think if you keep these in mind, it's a safe scheme to do. Right? Let's go on to Neeti Verma of Delhi, who bought a flat in Greater Noida on subvention. The builder promised to pay rentals till the time of possession. The project is delayed and the builder has stopped paying rent after 2 years. What should I do?
Go to the RERA.
Go to the RERA. It's a violation of a contract,
Yeah.
and RERA will be able to address
the issue.
And you've got a good RERA regulator.
Yeah. In
Across,
UP RERA. Yeah,
across the NCR today, the RERA
Very
regulators
active.
are working and very active. Please don't be intimidated that it is a court that you're going to. RERA is a court, is a primary court only for real estate. And the regulators are well versed in the ins and outs of real estate. So they do not penalize you as a consumer or trouble you as a consumer. Today the RERA courts are very, very friendly to consumers, knowing that they are not experts in property, but they are consumers who need property.
And no need to hire a lawyer even. You can go and file your complaint directly and the RERA do hear it.
You can be your own lawyer.
Yeah, you just argue for yourself.
You argue for
And
yourself.
that will be, I believe, the best thing you can do instead of it is getting done by a lawyer. But lawyer can't explain your position very clearly.
In fact, the emotions that come with a consumer, a pained consumer, talking to the RERA regulator, we've both visited RERA courts and we've seen how compassionate the RERA regulators are to the consumers. There's Karan Mathur of Gurgaon who bought a flat in Gurgaon on subvention. The builder is regularly paying the EMIs for the last 1 year. I heard a lot of negative stories about these schemes, but in my case it is working fine till now. Should I go ahead with this contract or ask the builder to modify it if it's risky? No, if it's working fine, please remember that now the delay, the inordinate delay that you faced in the last few years is not going to happen. Because any project that is registered under RERA has to be completed on time, and if in the last 1 year, I'm assuming you bought in the last 1 year, if the developer is paying the EMIs and if work is going on the site, I don't think there is any cause to worry, and you should just let it be. In fact, please understand that we are not saying that subvention schemes are right or wrong. What we are actually saying is how you as a consumer should know the ins and outs of a subvention scheme so that you can protect yourself.
And if developer has defaulted, then what is the way to...
What is the way, recourse? There's Ritika Singh of Noida. Does RERA talk about subvention schemes? Can a buyer whose payments are stalled by the developer go to RERA and file a complaint?
RERA basically talks about the contract. Now, if the developer and you have entered into a contract, that is a sacrosanct document, and developer must obey that. If developer is not following that, the RERA can penalize them. It is just like that.
There's Kirti Rao of Hyderabad who says, what are the key risks associated with subvention schemes? Does a subvention scheme offer an easier passage to home ownership by alleviating the interest burden till possession? That's exactly what it does. It's just that sometimes when the developers do not keep their side of the bargain, that's when consumers start protesting, because there was a contract entered into. And like Prabhakar said, a contract that is signed and sealed is a sacrosanct document, and if it is violated, you have every right to go to your RERA regulator. We have Mukesh Kumar of Faridabad, who booked a villa in a subvention scheme in Faridabad, but even after 3 years, nothing moved. I paid 15% and paying EMIs already. How do I address this issue?
So what is the subvention in that?
He hasn't said. I think what has happened is he has taken a 3-year subvention scheme, but the project has not happened, and therefore now the EMIs are his to bear, but the project is delayed. Please go to your RERA regulator for delayed project. And tell him that the project had to be delivered to you, the villa had to be delivered to you. The complaint is not about the subvention scheme, the complaint is about a delay in the project scheme.
Exactly. And so he should complain about the delay of the project, and he should ask the developer to complete the project, as soon as possible. And for that he can take help of RERA. RERA can ask the developer to complete the project.
If the project is not registered, make sure that RERA will make sure that it is registered, so that there is a timeline that you can go with, and in that timeline you have to ensure that the project is done. It will not be the previous timeline, because clearly that has been delayed. Whatever the new timeline, the developer has to keep to that. And you can also ask for your penalties of delay if that was part of your contract. There is Arun Kumar of Ahmedabad. I bought 1 2 BHK flat in Ahmedabad by paying 20%. It was in a subvention scheme. The builder paid me the rent for 6 months. Now I want to cancel this booking as I cannot get the home loan. Builder is now asking 6-month rent and also interest on that amount from me. Booking amount is also not being refunded fully. How can I handle this? This is a complicated one.
Yeah, now you can go to RERA. I mean,
The builder is within his rights to take back the
Yeah.
rent that he paid with interest.
Yeah, when you are not buying the
when
flat.
you are exiting
Yeah.
the whole contract was on the premise that you will continue with him and buy the flat when it is ready. Today, if you're not able to get a loan, I think there must be some reason why you couldn't get, and you got entered into a contract without checking your loan eligibility. The developer will not bear the penalty for that. And like Prabhakar said a little while ago, the original money that you pay as the booking amount is used for various reasons. The brokers paid a commission on that. Various things happen. So the full amount, if you say that I must get my full booking amount, that is not possible, because part of the booking amount goes towards the expenses that go towards that one, servicing that one unit. So he's not refusing to pay you any part of the booking amount. He will deduct a portion of it,
and
then
he very much should do that also, because he already has incurred cost on that.
Absolutely. The best thing is that if you've bought a house, you should go through with it, and if you can't get a loan, you will have to get into this agreement. The builder is within his rights to invoke this. There's Shubhranshu Mahapatra of Orissa. I'm from Bhubaneswar and bought a flat in a subvention scheme. The project land got stuck in a legal dispute. Who will pay my EMI now? I applied for a bank loan and now I'm feeling stuck. Please suggest.
No, if he is entered into a subvention scheme, it is developer who is supposed to pay it. But as the land is not available for the project, then where is the project now? Now, if there is no project, so better you exit. So right now, I have applied for the bank loan. You just get away from there and you say that no, I don't want any loan, and cancel the project. Because when the land is not there, where is the project then?
And if you have a problem, this is a clear case that you can take to the RERA authorities, and RERA will be
exactly, because without land, the developer cannot sell the project also, because he should start selling a project only after receiving all the approvals. And if there is no land, that means there is no approval. So then how come he has started selling you? And if he has not sold it to you, then where is the question of subvention or the bank loan or anything?
So he has actually, it's a case of cheating.
They are cheating them.
Lopamudra of Pune says, is there a different contract signed between the builder and buyer and bank? How many parties are involved in a subvention?
There is only one contract, and in that contract, this is a tripartite agreement between you, developer, and the banker. And all of you three entered into a kind of a agreement that this is the loan I am taking from the bank. The loan amount will be going to the developer for the completion of the project. And the interest portion, the developer will pay for this many period, and after that the interest will come on me and I'll pay the interest. So the contract should be written like this, and it is the composite contract always. All this contract is the composite, and all the three parties are signatories. It's a tripartite contract.
So to sum up, we've got queries from around the country. Practically every city in the country has subvention schemes. Subvention schemes are something that are good for the market. Good for the developer because he gets access to loans that are cheaper than the commercial loans. It's good for the buyer because the period of wait between booking a house and getting the house becomes easier, because you don't have to bear the burden of the interest that you have to pay, the EMI. It is good for the industry because then there is a sale to actual end users. The problems came in the market when a lot of consumers started playing that subvention scheme and entered the market as investors without checking what cycle the market was in. You can always read a market cycle by knowing that there is more supply in the market than there is demand. When there's more supply and there's less demand, the market is going to enter into a stress condition. And that is what happened to the Indian real estate market. Subvention schemes are neither right nor wrong. It is a way of selling and purchasing. However, you must be aware of your rights and your responsibilities before you can enter into that. Any closing comments, Prabhakar?
No, before going into a subvention scheme, you must ensure that the developer is in the position to keep its promises. Now, if you will find that the developer might go down under, then better not go into that kind of a contract. If you just ensure it that the developer's financial condition is good enough that he can meet the obligation of paying your EMI for time to come. So that is the only one hitch is in that. Otherwise, it's a very good scheme.
Thank you so much for watching This Week in Property. We'll be back with more issues that concern you as the consumer and come back with solutions that are available in the market. We talk to experts so that we can bring you those solutions. Thank you for watching. I'm Jayashree Kurup and this is Prabhakar Sinha.
Thank you.
Please subscribe to Magicbricks on YouTube and click the bell icon to get new videos.